I'm so glad to be spending this time with you, Zoraida. We clicked after meeting through some online space, and I was just so amazed at your lived experience of moving from finance professional to a cancer coach. Your shocking diagnosis really led you through the known path, married with children, finance professional, into sharing with others how to walk a path of a shocking diagnosis, how to empower yourself by taking your health into your own hands, and most importantly, maybe making sure that they don't feel alone on that path, the way that I know you felt so alone, and uncovering so much of this along the way. Just so glad that you agreed to share some time with me today.
Oh, thank you so much. I always adore being in a space with such a good active listener. Um, and you come from such a place of wisdom and shared knowledge. And so having these conversations with you, they're so easy. And I think we have this alignment where we want people to understand that healing is okay. It's your birthright,
Yeah,
right? We're living
absolutely.
our life by design, not default.
Yeah, oh, wow. That is so powerful and so important to be reminded of when life knocks us down, when we've got these very painful paths to look at.
Yeah.
And so I remember our first connection, and you shared with me not only were you healing your body, but you were also moving through ending a marriage at the same time. And my first thought was, how did you find the emotional strength to be able to handle all of that and keep going, especially when, on all accounts, you had every reason to fall apart?
Yeah. I think about it now. It's about 10 years ago when I realized this is going to happen. And I ended a 24-year marriage.
Mhm.
I was with this man for 30 years. We had two
Whew.
children. We built a life together. But there came a time, Johanna, when I just didn't feel safe. And my nervous system was out of whack. And I was taking chemo for 10 years at that point, and I just knew that I did it all wrong, that I was putting everyone first, my children first, my spouse second first, my parent, my siblings, my friends. I was people pleasing, and I was always last. And you know what happens when you put yourself last? You become resentful.
Of course, there's no way around it.
And so for many, many years, even while taking chemo, I was not pouring into myself. I was giving from an empty cup. And I wasn't thriving. And I couldn't help but look at myself in a coffin and ask myself the question, how do I want to live? What am I hungry for? What do I need that I don't have, and how do I get it?
Profound questions.
And it took me 2 years to answer that question
Mhm.
or those questions. And I kept Googling it. I just didn't know what else to do. I couldn't,
Mhm.
because like the answers were not coming up, but they are within.
Yeah.
And one day I got the answer. And it said, all I want is peace, love, and joy right here in my
Mhm.
heart, right here. And I still didn't know what that meant because I
Yeah.
had to break it down really into what that meant. And for me, it meant my nervous system had to be in alignment with my heart.
Hmm.
And I had to put my heart, the leader, I had to make it the number one. And then my mind and ego to follow and support. Because I grew up in generational poverty, generational trauma. And so we were in fight or flight my whole entire life. And so I needed that, the mind and the ego, to do their thing and lead so that I can get through the South Bronx living there and getting through college and even working in finance because I joined finance in the early 80s.
Mm.
But when you're taking chemo or any other medication, you can't be in fight or flight.
No.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help you live that life of joy. I wanted joy in my heart with the simple things because I couldn't control any of the external. Couldn't control my diagnosis. I couldn't control who was president. Couldn't control how people were behaving. I can only control how I perceive things. And that took me on a mission that I've been on for the last 10 years.
And you mentioned emotional safety in the beginning of the answer. And with everything you've just shared, no wonder emotional safety was a non-negotiable inside of your marriage, inside of the relationship that was there to support you, and maybe felt more like it was complicating your ability to recover, to feel, to find that joy and peace and love that you spoke about, really knowing that you need it inside of your body. And I think that touches on, what I hear in my practice from my clients, this it's almost like it's a human condition that we feel like we've got to choose between, like our health or our success, or keeping the family together, or keeping our happiness alive. And I'd love to dive in a little bit more to where you were at when you felt like you had to make that impossible choice.
It was interesting because before I got this diagnosis, I was doing and participating in a lot of Mind Valley workshops, secretly, master classes, not telling anyone because I was shifting internally, but I knew that the people around me did not want me to shift because they wanted me to continue being the person that I was so I can continue giving the way I was giving. That didn't feel right in my body. It felt like I wasn't living in my own alignment, in my own integrity. So again, I had to go back to how do I want to live? I want to live, I want to have beautiful experiences. I want to love as many people as I want. I want to laugh a lot. I want to dance. I mean, I want to experience everything that I possibly can. That meant that I had to put my heart first. And safety is number one. So I didn't want to change my whole entire life because on the outskirts, I had a pretty good life. I had a house that was built just for us, two-car garage. We traveled every 3 or 4 months. Children, had everything they needed. We had everything we needed. But inside here, I didn't have everything that I needed.
Yeah.
And I matter. Like I
Mm.
got to a point where it's like, don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I matter? And every time I said that to someone in my circle, they said, no, that's selfish. That's
Wow.
narcissistic. But I always knew that putting the mask on first meant devotion to self. But the people around me kept saying, no, that's not it. You're seeing it all wrong. But then I got this diagnosis and I couldn't help but say, you know what? I'm going to stand my ground. This is what I believe in, even though no one believed it.
Wow, you bring up such an important piece on a couple of levels where it's like the outside world sees success as the home, the two-car garage, the travel, all the outside things, and yet how we can feel almost like we're drowning, even inside of the preconceived concepts of success. And then the people around us wanting us to remain the giver, to keep things status quo, and that they're giving you almost a deviation from your own truth. That doing that would be selfish, doing that would, rock the boat for the kids. And yet your personal boat has been beyond rocked. And so, how would you feel? I don't want to skip ahead too much, but this whole concept of really rebuilding, this whole concept of following your truth, even though it was so different from the people around you, and how you found that strength in such a time of upheaval.
I've always had strength. I mean, I'm a kid from the South Bronx, New York City, born in the 60s. I was an original latchkey kid, and I had to grow up pretty fast. Right before my kids were 3 and 6 when I got diagnosed. But right before I had Colin, my first child, I had 4 miscarriages. One, I had to give birth to a baby that didn't make it.
Wow.
I had 5 surgeries on my foot. There was always something that I had to persevere and move through and push through. I'm a pusher by nature. I come from a family of pushers. It's how we got out of the South Bronx, so I get it. But I gotta tell you, Joanna, this diagnosis, and I know this is gonna sound strange to some people because I've been given the side eye when I say this, but the diagnosis was a gift for me. It was a gift.
I
It
believe.
showed me where I wasn't in alignment. There were so many lessons here. It showed me where I was people pleasing, where I was not speaking my truth, where I was playing small. Now, on the outskirts, people wouldn't see that. They saw me as a professional, as a go-getter, living a really good life. But inside here, I didn't feel that way. And so I just wanted to be me. I needed to surrender to what wasn't working for me. And I knew it was going to be hard. Like I had already done a lot of spiritual mental work
Mhm.
with therapists. And so I knew this was not going to be an easy road to take. And I knew it was going to change me. I just had no idea that it was going to change me like this, that I'd be having this kind of conversation with you. But I knew that I wasn't living in the alignment that I wanted to live. And that at some point I had to stop thinking about what everyone else thought and what I felt, my heart. What did my heart feel? What did my heart want? What did my heart need?
Oh,
I wanted safety. I wanted love.
I really hear the power in those words as such a pivotal shift, especially when you explain having to come from that pushing force that, yes, worked well in your success and getting out of the Bronx, all of the things that you've described, but to go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum to surrender and all of the gifts that surrender could unravel. That is
Yeah.
remarkable. And what I'm really hearing is there needed to be such a shift of your way of being, of the way you approached sort of walking the path of returning to your full well-being, walking the path of a divorce where I know you've shared with me, you're now in a really good co-parenting friendship and it's really workable, which is so amazing. And so maybe share some of the steps of, if we would imagine a woman being in the middle of it, like you were, that storm when it happened. Maybe she's, sitting in the hospital parking lot, just shock running through her, or just signed her divorce papers. And there's still that sense of who am I now and what's my next step? Maybe even wondering where she's going to find the energy to begin again or to take the next step forward. What
Yeah.
wisdom would you share with her?
You know, I got 3 certifications while taking chemo.
Wow.
And one of them was a nutrition coaching certification. And the other one was the cancer coaching. And one of the reasons I chose this particular program was because it was a holistic program. And while learning in this program, I learned more about my mental, my physical, and my spiritual state than ever. And I knew that I needed to do something with all of that. And so I took the mental part and I said, okay, I deserve to have this beautiful life that I want in my heart. I am worthy of it. So I started using these modalities like breath work, meditation, Reiki, sound healing. I do all kinds. I mean, I go to many different conferences on energetic healing. Um, because for me, I knew that it was inherent. My trauma was inherent. It was generational. It was past lives. So I had to hire, I'm one of those people. I've had coaches since the 80s when people didn't even know what a coach was, right? Hypnotherapists, NLPs, because I knew I had to tap into my ancestors.
Well, and so much of your deepest beliefs of, how to be and live and recover, it's also intertwined. Wow.
Now, I was born a Catholic and I did my communion, but my mother's agnostic and there was really no religion besides, oh my God, thank God, right? That was as much religion as I got. So I never believed in anything higher than myself. And while I'm recreating myself, I reintroduced myself to God. That's a big, big story. I'm going
Mm,
to take you through. Okay, so here's the mental part, right?
yeah.
Right. I'm using all these modalities. Oh, let me not forget the mirror work.
Mm.
The mirror work is something that I use with my clients today because you're basically giving yourself love. Like there's certain songs that I hear, they're love stories to myself. I sing them to myself. I look in the mirror, I look in my eyes, and I tell myself all those beautiful things. I'm not imagining someone telling me these things. I am telling myself these things. So I do mirror work every day.
Mm.
And every day, the statement changes. Mostly I say to myself, I love you and I love you some more, right? If I'm moving through something that was a bit challenging, I'll praise myself. It's those little things, it's those incremental changes that we're making here. So as we spoke about, and you know what happens when you're an entrepreneur, there's a lot of back end stuff that you're working on, right? It's not as glamorous as being on LinkedIn, right? You've got to work on your Google Drive, and you've got to make sure documents are secure, and there's just so many things that go on, and it's frustrating. And so on those little things, I look at myself and I tell myself, good, great job. Look at you. You wanted to give up. It was difficult, but you did it anyway, and you're still doing it. It's those little things that I do now for myself that I've never done. Now, other people have heard them from their family members. I didn't hear those things.
Which makes that mirror work that you were sharing all the more important. We need to hear it at a deep level. And so, if that didn't
Yeah.
come from mom or dad, aunts or uncles, grandparents, I love that you fostered that loving capacity to give that to yourself. Wow, that's so inspiring.
You know, it's that self-worth. It's building your self-worth. And I realized that when I got my cancer diagnosis, it plummeted. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel worthy. And so doing that mental part of nutrition, I call it mental nutrition, is really important. And then I went into physical nutrition. So I always thought I ate well, but now I took it to a whole different level. I mean, even while being a student at the Institute of Transformational Nutrition, I hired a coach. I hired a WowFit nutrition coach to teach me. And so for 8 weeks, every week, he took something out of my
Like
my
rotation,
diet.
what you were eating. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, the first few were easy because it was like nicotine,
Mm.
um, alcohol. Then came sugar. Oh boy. Then
Yeah.
came dairy. Oh boy. Then, I mean, there were things. So it was a wonderful experience because I got to really detox. And
Yeah.
as we slowly started putting things back in, I started noticing the things that I was sensitive to. I was sensitive to dairy, didn't know it.
Hmm. You get more in
Um,
tune with your body and food starts to become medicine and a language of how we're really in sync with our body.
and thank you for saying that because food is medicine. I say this
Mhm.
all the time. Food is medicine. So I started eating as I'm incorporating food back in. I am now and because of this beautiful certification that I received, I now understand ingredient listings. And then in the physical portion, we also have movement because we're like vehicles. If we don't use it, we lose it. And I'm
Yeah.
62. I am not about to stop moving,
Mhm.
right? So I have my yoga, I have walking through nature. I love riding a bike. I am constantly moving because it's one of the ways I process my own stuff.
Yes.
So, but I've always been a tomboy, so always played sports. I've always played volleyball and baseball and stuff like that. And then that spiritual nutrition.
Mm.
When I was able to believe in something higher than myself, because remember, I didn't grow up with any religion, but when I started to believe in something higher than myself, I felt loved. I felt safe. I felt supported. I felt protected.
I understand your mission so much more deeply now to really make sure that people don't feel alone in the shock of it, in the rebuilding of it, in all of the layers and there must be stages in all that you've described.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just
because
so grateful to you that you're sharing and supporting people in this very intimate way.
yeah, because I had this limiting belief. I had hundreds, thousands, and I still uncover them every day, but I'm a product of divorce. I didn't want to get a divorce.
Right. So there was that pressure that you were facing too.
I had shame, guilt, so much shame. Here I am, a product of divorce. My mother's telling me, "Who do you think you are? Go have an affair." I
Wow.
was like, "Lady, this has nothing to do with sex."
Right. If that were the only issue,
I
good
kept
God.
explaining to people, "You're not listening to me. I am taking chemo. This has nothing to do with something frivolous like sex." I shouldn't say it's frivolous, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fighting for my life here.
Yeah. If only one orgasm could have solved it, right?
If only.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And so, share with me a little bit about how you work with those who are lucky enough to cross paths with you. And where do
Uh,
they usually find you? Are they finding you in the shock of the diagnosis? Are they halfway down their path, maybe a bit disillusioned with like only medical or only alternative or how do you usually meet people?
so it's every client is by word of mouth.
Yeah, I imagine.
And people see me they see me on stages. Um, and they're in all different places of their lives, right? Some people I actually know 3 people who are going through cancer and getting a divorce, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, and I wrote about that on LinkedIn the other day because it's shocking. Shocking.
Well, I
I thought I
remember
was,
coming across your post and the statistics. I don't know if you know them off the top of your head, but shocking how the differences between men and women being
men and women.
diagnosed. I was
So
floored.
I know. And so I think that if I remember correctly, the research is from 2009. And it stated that when a woman gets a diagnosis versus a man, right, the the woman is more apt to ask for a divorce or get a divorce versus the man,
Mhm.
right? And I I wasn't surprised because here's what I'm learning from speaking to people. Women are nurturers. Not all of us, but for the most part, we're nurturers, right? So if our spouse were to get, now remember, marriage is for better or for worse, in sickness and in health.
Mhm.
You say those words in your 30s, but do you really mean them in your 60s?
Yeah.
Hmm, right? Do you really understand what that means?
Oh, yeah. The
Right?
deep reality of the day-to-day of that. Yeah.
Exactly. You know it's challenging already. Now, add in your own traumas and your own limiting beliefs. So now, and this is how I forgave my ex
Mm.
because he had his own traumas. He had his own limiting beliefs. So when I got sick, it affects everyone. It
Yes.
affects the mailman who sees you every day because now, believe it or not, my mailman was worried about me,
Mm.
right? It affects your family and your friends because now you don't have the energy to do the things that you normally do. It changed
Yes.
our whole life. I
Yes.
mean, my ex-husband is also a DJ in New York City,
Mhm.
right? He was a finance professional as well, but at night he was a DJ. So we had that nightlife,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I didn't have my first child till I was 40. So our life changed completely. Now, you're operating with your traumas and your limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
I can understand how someone will say, this sucks. I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. This
Mm.
is not what I wanted.
Yeah. This is not how it used to be. And
And I want my
I know how to
old life
meet you
back.
in the pain. Yeah.
Right. And everybody wants their old life back.
Right.
So I had to forgive him because he has his own traumas and he has his own limiting beliefs. But basically, I forgave him for me
Of
to
course.
just release
Yeah.
all that shit
Well, I
because
think
how
when our
unworthy did I feel?
that's it. And when our well-being is on the line, it's like I've got to let all of those painful points down because it's costing me my vitality, my energy, my well-being.
Exactly.
It's a part of the healing path.
Yeah. So
Mm.
I meet people in different stages. I just met a woman the other day, um, getting a divorce in her 50s. She doesn't have cancer, but because I wrote a chapter on single parenting while taking chemo, I
Mm.
attract a lot, I attract, many different types of people.
Of
And
course.
so we had a call, and she was me 10 years ago,
Mm.
and she's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure
And I
she's so
told her
grateful to have you in her corner.
she is.
Yeah.
And I told her to always remember that when you just don't have the energy anymore, take a break because it's okay. You're okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that you didn't do 3 meditations today. It's okay that you didn't go for that walk today, right?
Yeah.
Meet yourself where you're at.
Yeah.
This is a long process.
Yeah, we do what we can as we can, and baby
Mhm.
steps count too.
These steps
Yeah.
count. But it's that gentleness that we have with ourselves allows us to now even give more to the people around us. And this is what I've been learning. Again,
Mhm.
that devotion to self,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to sit in a dirty diaper, so to speak.
Right?
So if you're my friend, I'm not going to let you sit in a dirty diaper either,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Because with people, we all come from different places. We all have different experiences. So if we meet people where they're at, you recognize that some didn't have the skills and the
Maybe even the capacity. That's the
the
word that's coming to
capacity.
mind. Yeah,
Because we parent with trauma. I
that's right.
parented with trauma.
Yeah,
I mean, we all do that. I mean, it's who we are.
yeah,
We're, we have to meet ourselves where we are.
that's it. And
And
so
so
as
you
you're
can't give, but you
sharing,
never don't give to yourself.
well, that's exactly what I'm thinking and feeling in this moment. And for our listeners, before the crisis point, because sometimes as human beings, we need the crisis point to wake us up. But if they're listening and relating, what might be a few questions you would throw out for them to ponder so that before they reach a crisis point like this,
Yeah.
they might have the courage to love themselves, choose themselves, go against what everyone around them might be echoing? What are some things they might consider?
Devotion to self. Put that mask on first. You can't give what you are not giving yourself.
Mm,
The devotion to self means I'm not playing small. I'm speaking my truth. I'm not giving my power away. It means that if I'm on a call with you and my son is calling me from college, I- I'm going to ignore that call until I'm finished with you.
mhm,
You know what I mean? I'm
mhm,
not going to be that person who says, "Oh, Johanna, I need to take this call." Right? Again, not putting myself first.
right.
Right? It means that if I'm not feeling good, I'm going to rest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let my mind and ego saying, "Let's go, let's go, let's go. We got things to do. We've got deadlines." No, right? And it also means that I ask myself these questions because the heart is the leader. What
Mm,
does the heart feel? What does the heart want? What does it believe? And then I'll ask my mind and my ego. So when I decided I was going to become well, I didn't decide it. Spirit decided I was going to be a coach. My ego said, a cancer coach? You're not going to be a cancer coach. We're not going to be a cancer coach. We want to make money.
mm,
We're not going to be poor again. We were already poor.
mm.
We want to go back to finance. We want to go back to making money and living in a house and having that beautiful lifestyle. No, 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 no. We're not doing that.
So that push through that was familiar came back up.
Yeah. And
Ah.
I know for me, it's how I think. Mind, ego, heart, mind, ego, heart. And
Mm,
my mind said, you're not a coach. Now, I was a finance manager and I supervised 200 people. So I had to coach people to do their jobs. And so my mind said, you're not a coach because I didn't have the word coach in my title,
hmm.
right? And here as the heart, I said, I am a coach. I'm a parent. I'm the eldest in a Spanish household. Right? You know what that means,
I
right?
sure do. You got it.
And I'm a mother, I'm a wife. My friends come to me for advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
And then I had to tell my mind and ego, we're going to do things differently from now on. And I need you on board, which means that I'm the leader. I have final say. I need you to follow and support me.
Mm,
And it took 2 years to finally get my mind and ego on board. I mean, really, really on board. So every time I make a decision, my first question is, what does the heart want? What does the heart feel? What does the
mm.
heart believe? Not the mind and ego. The mind and ego are going to say, we don't have time for this. We don't have money for that. Blah, blah, blah. We're
And
not
as you
doing that.
shared, it can take some time to get all that into alignment. So really asking the heart is a trusted way forward.
Yeah. And listening to your gut. Because
Mm,
I've had to learn to elevate my intuition and listen to my gut, but go with what my heart wants. Hell, I moved to Virginia Beach because my heart said, yeah, we belong in Virginia Beach by the
mm,
ocean. 6 months later, I moved. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. it's not perfect, but again, it's that joy. I'm entitled to joy. Joy is my birthright. That's how I look at it. I
Yeah.
look at myself in the mirror, I use mirror work, and I say, joy is my birthright. That helped me rise, is helping me rise, it's helping me transform and awaken.
Mm.
And
It's
it's the
beautiful.
most beautiful thing I've ever done, besides
It's
having my children.
it is. Oh my gosh, it is stunningly beautiful. And so, where can the listeners find you? How can they find out more about how they might be able to work with you?
So I have a website, sereidamorales.com, and I live on LinkedIn and I spill it on LinkedIn. I talk about fear versus faith. I talk about nutrition. I talk about cancer and divorce, the mental, physical, and the spiritual, because it's it's everything for me.
So intertwined. We can't do one without the other
Can't do
and
one
have
without the
true
other.
health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, you are such an inspiration, and I'm just so grateful to have you call you a friend and to share this time with you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing from your heart.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for creating this beautiful, safe space for me to do it.
Mm. Until next time.